Waking up in the morning, thinking about so many things. I wish things would get better. Tired of... What is it? Waking up in the morning.
Waking up in the morning,
Thinking about so many things. I just wish things would get better. Trying to get rid of them, but nothing seems to stay the same. Oh my God. Morning. Waking up. Okay, I'm trying to get the lyrics right. Waking up in the morning, thinking about so many things. I wish things could get better. Trying to get rid of them. Get rid of them. But nothing seems to stay the same. Okay. I'm going to get that down at some point. Waking up in the morning, thinking about so many things. I just wish things could get better. I'm trying to get rid of them, but nothing seems to stay the same. Yeah. That's it. That's it, you guys. I'm going to get it at some point. Good morning. Good morning. Let's see. Okay. As you guys know, every morning I go live Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday morning at 10:30 Central till about 11:30, 11:45, sometimes 12, depending on what's going on. What is y'all's drink you drink? That's what I want to know. What's your morning drink? Morning. Coffee. All right. What kind of coffee? Hot coffee, straight. You're better than me. Water? Okay. You're better than everybody else, the water person. I don't know why. When I drink water in the morning, it makes me nauseous. Room temperature water. That's good, though. That's good for your body. That's better than all of us. Okay, we got coffee, water, hot coffee, straight, room temperature water. It's okay. All right, we're actually going to do a guided check-in this morning. Good morning. All right. Every day, can you guys say it with me? Every day, we wake up. Can you say it? Every day, we wake up. We grab our favorite drink. And we ask ourselves how we're doing. We ask ourselves how we're doing. Should I get a mug? See, but I'm not trying to promote coffee. Maybe I need a morning drink mug, and this needs to be on the side of it. Every day. Do I say every day or every morning? Every morning. Yeah, every morning. Every morning. Every morning, we wake up, we grab our favorite drink, and we ask ourselves how we're doing. I don't know if you guys saw my Insta that I posted this morning, but I was just saying how we're slowing things down. That's what we're doing primarily. We're slowing things down. And so instead of me posting a million videos before I get on here, I'm slowing down too. And so we're going to do that guided check-in together in a couple minutes. What's everybody got going on? Anything exciting? What is it, Tuesday morning? Yeah, Tuesday. Wait, today's March 3rd. I saw something crazy about March 3rd. Did you guys see this? March 3rd. The lunar eclipse peaks on March 3rd at 3:33 a.m. So did that already happen? Did that already happen, the eclipse this morning? Nobody knows. Okay. I think everything's good. All right, we're going to get going. Middle of the night last night. Oh, dang. So we missed it. All right. Everybody, welcome to Class with Kate, where I take you to school on all things restoring relationships. This is Codependency Kate. And this past weekend, I thought a lot about like why I'm doing this, my mission, why I post, why I'm doing the show, why I make resources. I was sitting with it because I've been trying to slow down. And I was like, you know what? The reason I'm doing this is truly because I believe when people have two things, when they have emotional intelligence and family systems knowledge, like relationship knowledge, people will be good to go in their relationships. I feel like that's what I can give people is tools for emotional intelligence, relational intelligence, essentially those two things. So that's why I'm doing this. I also am doing this like specifically, my little motto, my little tagline used to be, you don't have to leave the relationship to find yourself. Because I started posting, I think I told you guys in grad school, when all I saw online about toxic relationships was just leave, just leave, just leave. And I was in school learning about all this stuff, and I was learning how to do couples therapy. And I was like, okay, couples therapy can obviously help, but what about before and outside of couples therapy? And so that's why I came online and started posting, was like education, education, education. That's what people need. That's what people need. And they also need to know that you don't have to like leave the relationship immediately when you spot abuse or when you spot abusive behaviors. In fact, most people don't, and that's okay. And you get to decide that. And so, yeah, just to share that, that's why I'm doing this. It's like, you know, for other factors too, like career and versatility and exciting opportunities, you know, all that stuff for sure. For sure. I'm not a martyr. But the other part of it genuinely is, I think when people figure out their relationships, they're all good. I read so much about emotional intelligence like in my 20s, and it's just the number one priority. And then when I came online and started seeing all of this play out in the estrangement situation, I was like, there is a void here. There's a gap here. So that's why we're going to start this morning with a little guided check-in to see how you're doing. That's the first step with anything. Everything starts with you. Everything starts with how you're doing. I think especially as a parent, we're moving from being, what is the term, martyrs to models. And so we have to put our oxygen mask on first. As parents, as people in our relationships, that's what we have to do. And it's been taught to us to do so many other things other than that, which is insanity. Especially in the context of religion. I feel for religious people so much because they're just not getting this information from where they want to get it, which is their religious community. And that's a struggle, and in particular women in abusive relationships. And so I hope to fill in that gap. I feel like I could do a much better job speaking about religious issues, but they have a lot of issues. They have a lot of issues. So why don't you join me? I'm going to invite you to join me in a tapping guided check-in. Now, if you are sitting at home, I don't know, you're probably holding your phone is the problem. So how can you do this? I don't know. You might have to set your phone down. If there's a place to set it down, I'll talk you through it. But you cross your arms like this. You can also put them on the tops of your knees. The idea is just cross body. And I'm going to do it on the tops of my knees. It's just like you're bringing awareness to your body and what's happening. Like to me, I woke up and I have this thing in my throat. You know, when you're getting sick and you feel it, I've been trying to swallow it away since I woke up this morning. So I'm noticing that. I'm noticing that I want to talk faster. You know, what are you noticing as you're tapping very slowly? What are you noticing? You know, in your body, your thoughts, what are you thinking about? This has something to do with metacognition. Yeah, actually just watch me do this. This has something to do with metacognition, where you're just observing what's happening. You're observing your thoughts. You're observing your body. And you're taking deep breaths. And you're just noticing what's bothering you and what comes up. Because that's going to show you where your unresolved conflicts are. The idea of this too is to bring down the intensity of them. You don't have to actually think it through like you're writing a paper from start to finish. That's the beauty of this process, is you don't really have to think it through in words and language. You can just watch it. It can skip around. It can go in circles. You can just notice it in your body. You don't actually have to think it through. I wish people knew that. With somatic stuff, you just have to feel it. You don't have to think about it. Oh, I'm struggling to take a big breath today. I don't know about you. Oh, all right. We're good. Does anybody have any thoughts? Any questions? Let me see here. Here's somebody asking a bigger question, but guided check-in. Do you guys check in with yourself? Do you guys check in with how you're doing, almost like you're a separate person with yourself? Does that feel like a hard thing to do? Does that feel like an easy thing to do? Does that feel corny or weird? I'm seeing some other questions pop up that we can address first. Do you have a top few books that you recommend people read that are about relationships, codependency, that were most valuable? There's a TikTok that is pinned to my page at the top about recommended books. Here we go. Is the only solution when there are signs of abuse to leave? No. What is the sign that there's nothing more to do? Couples therapy is inappropriate. Yeah, is the only solution when there are signs of abuse to leave? No. And that's what my whole account is. There are absolutely ways to address it. I was just thinking about this last night, that you can be a healthy person with an abusive person. You just need to understand your role in the dynamic and not fall into an abusive dynamic. So you can be a healthy person with an abusive person. Obviously not very long, that person has to change. Abuse is tough because they're not black and white, and the people that are this way have a lot of good qualities about them. So it's just a matter of standing up to the qualities and the behaviors in particular that are abusive, and making sure those do not harm you. The sign that there's nothing more to do. So here's the thing too, is only you can know that. What is the sign that there is nothing more to do? The more healthy that you get, the more you learn boundaries and listening to yourself emotionally. I think the more I post online, and I say this every once in a while, the more I post online, the more I'm like, people really go into relationships like not knowing anything, like not having any therapy, not having any awareness, not having emotions, like intelligence, emotional intelligence, not having support, not knowing how to talk about it. So relationships really can be the wild, wild west. And again, I think there's a way to learn what you need to learn without like leaving the relationship first, kind of thing. Now, I will say this is like not the case if there's physical abuse, because you like unpredictable physical violence, like you're never going to reach self-actualization with somebody that is physically abusive, that is harming you or your kids. Like that's where safety is the number one thing. And that's when a lot of couples therapists, when they say that couples therapy is contraindicated for situations with abuse, my understanding of that is that like you can't work on the emotional issues if there's somebody hitting you, because it takes some distress tolerance to work through issues. And so if someone's physically abusive, and they're bigger than you type thing, like, and you're actually getting hurt, then that's when couples therapy and working on the emotional stuff is contraindicated, meaning that it doesn't make sense because this is an individual issue primarily. That's what the context to that is. So physical abuse, hands down, period, goodbye. Emotional abuse to me is very unsafe, but sometimes it's manageable through their behaviors. So again, I believe in overcoming. I think the general advice is like, if you feel unsafe, leave. Like, for liability purposes, every professional is going to tell you that. So when people say too, only you know when you're ready to leave, I think that can be frustrating. But I think it also shows maybe a black or white attitude of, should I stay or should I go? As opposed to like, what part of this can I do today? What part of this can I learn today? What am I working on in myself today? Like, is that process happening too? And in my experience, when people do more of that process, it becomes clear. When they learn about a top-down approach, when they learn about being authoritarian, when they learn about safety, when they learn about emotions, and then they learn boundaries and to focus on themselves, to get their own lives, like to have friends, that they don't need this person for approval type stuff, which is their childhood wound showing up in a relationship. When they work on that stuff, it becomes clear of when you can kind of walk away and like emotionally you're not, you're more just like relieved and disappointed as opposed to like running in fear and out of reaction, because when you leave like too soon or before you're ready, a lot of women go back, and so there's this ping pong situation happening. And so that's why we need to, you need help. Like, we need therapy, you need support. That's number one. Struggling with the grief of abandonment as an adult child. Yeah, it's bullshit. I'm sorry. I want to do it, but struggle with connecting to myself and not just feeling blank, maybe with time and consistency. Maybe I'm confused on that question. I want to do what? My husband needs therapy as well as we need couples therapy. He doesn't believe in it or that it will help. How do I move forward with this? I have a call that's on my Spotify. Who was it that will help with that? How to deal with an emotionally unavailable husband and learning the difference between. These are big questions. Tips for dealing with super intense feelings and thoughts that overwhelm. All of this stuff, I mean, part of this is we need therapy, and we need, I need more context to these questions. I need more context. Let me see here. If you're a parent that is willing, able, and capable to be accountable, but one of your children continues to stay estranged and not communicate, what's the question? Dealing with abandonment trauma, but my mom didn't abandon me, but she died as a result of my lifestyle choices. I don't know what that means. She died as a result of my lifestyle choices. Oh, she died as a result of, of her lifestyle choices. Oh, yep, that is terrible. She didn't abandon me, but she died as a result of lifestyle choices. That's abandonment for sure. So it makes sense you have abandonment trauma, because maybe she didn't actively do it to you, but in dealing with her trauma in that way, then she did. That is what happened to you. So when you are abandoned by your parent as a result of their choices, which is really what is happening in all of estrangement with these parents, is a lot of them are responding to their own trauma, their own codependency, their own shame, their own anger, their own powerlessness. A lot of them are reacting from that place, which has a history that started before you. And that's the pain and that's the trauma, is that their parenting was never about you. But naturally, being a child, you take it that way because that is how you develop and learn and grow. Like, it's normal to take things personally as a kid. And so the grief work in that is holding both things at the same time. And that's really an emotionally complex experience. And that, again, I would really encourage people to go through with someone that's a guided professional. Because this is, it's too much. It's too much. Let's get into Beth from last week. You guys remember her on Thursday? Beth, let's talk about Beth. Okay. You guys, if you missed that call, that was an insane situation. That was an insane situation. Insanity. And not on behalf of Beth, of course. So Beth is being abandoned essentially by her husband. Let me repeat the call. Let me review the call. So Beth calls in. Beth has, I think it was 3 older kids. 4 older kids. Beth has 4 older kids and a newborn. She's 2 months postpartum. She has 4 older kids from a previous relationship. And then one, her newborn is part of her current relationship. She's been married for a year, been together with this guy for 2 years. And her husband, essentially before they got married, I think, has been out of work. For 2 years, he's been out of work. And she has a newborn. She's also a doula, and so she has a career. She can work. But her question was like, what do I do? He's in these recovery groups because he's struggling with like sex addiction. And he cannot get a job. And when he doesn't get a job, he says it's because God doesn't want him to have that job or whatever. So that's Beth's situation. She's 2 months postpartum, 5 children. And the kicker is also that where they live now and their place that they rent, I think their older kids are able to go to this like homeschool co-op, which they love, which has been, I think she said, like just a gift to her and her family. It's just a beautiful time and experience. And so because she's newly postpartum and not working, and he is not working, they are being evicted from their apartment as of March 1st. And she called, it was on Thursday. And so that's the situation she's in. So she's calling, and what were her questions in particular? I don't remember her specific questions. But basically when I'm talking to her, I'm like feeling things coming up in me where I'm like, girl, what the hell is this? What in the actual hell is this situation? This is absolutely insane. Like, it's not just like, oh yeah, he's not working, but he has money. And so, it's just a matter of whatever. He is not working with his new family. And he is, she did say like he does do a ton of stuff around the house. And, so he does a lot of stuff around the house. He's baking cookies. I kind of made that joke and that jab because it's like, I don't disrespect like someone staying at home and doing housework, obviously. But when your wife is newly postpartum, like what the fuck are you doing if you're not working and your family has no money? Like that's insane. I was on the call, obviously, like I wonder what his side is because I don't know about, facts in this situation, right? Like we need to hear both sides, sure. But what I was talking to her about was, girl, like we need to find you a new place to live that's permanent, that you're not relying on him. This is a betrayal. This is abandonment. This is absolute insanity. Insanity. And you guys don't see these callers on the show, but when I'm watching her, her body's like, her body literally was like, okay, I'm not crazy because I'm in this, and it obviously feels crazy when you're in it. So that's like number one, is like validating the insanity of the situation. Number two, and this was my kind of thing with Beth, was like, where is your anger about this? Y'all even heard the way she was talking. She was very like calm and I don't know, she seemed neutral about it. And I think probably that's part of, I don't know how much of it is just being on a call on a show like this type thing. But I'm like, girl, where is your anger? And because she was like, I'm mostly like sad and hurt. And I hear that a lot from women in these situations. They have no access to anger. It's nowhere to be found. And that is the work. That's the work. For the future, to protect yourself in the future from people like this, from situations like this, where is your anger? That is your protective mechanism. And that's what pisses me off so much whenever I hear these women talk, because I know when they were growing up and they had boundaries in the form of like, I don't want to do that. I don't like that. Like, leave me alone. Like disrespectful behavior. They were punished for it. They were criticized for it. that just wasn't allowed. So when I hear people like Beth talking, I'm like, give me 2 minutes with your parents and I can just set them straight of like, you caused this. Other people, and it's not just parents. Like that's like the other part of this is I realize that people are influenced by outside people. I think it's more of like what happens in your home is reinforced outside of it, So like if Beth grew up going to church, like if Beth, in school, like what were the teachers like? What are the primary caregivers of children doing when it comes to their child's anger? That's the question. What are we doing as parents now with our child's anger? Are we allowing it? Are we swinging the pendulum and permissive about it? Where we love it. We don't say anything. We don't teach them any skills. And we love it, Someone asked me the other day, well, a couple of people asked me, I made a video about this, how there's like authoritarian and then there's permissive, right? Like that's the spectrum. And so what are we doing with anger in the middle here? We're not punishing it like an authoritarian parent would. We're not just allowing it and just like they can just run rampant and do whatever they want to. We're doing what is the way? We need to honor the anger. So by the way, an authoritarian style of parenting, which is like suppressing the anger, that's what's going to happen. The kids are going to suppress the anger and it's going to come out sideways. It's going to come out sideways eventually in weird behavior. Not weird technically, but like anger is a healthy emotion. It is energy. It is there to assert our boundaries, to teach us about what we're okay with in a relationship. Like it's the most important emotion, arguably, honestly, the most important emotion. Authoritarian parents suppress it. By the way, authoritarian parents do not think they're authoritarian. They don't think that. It's not like, oh, I'm waking up today and I'm going to choose to be authoritarian. Like that's not how that works, by the way. So this is when we need to check ourselves is like, are we doing authoritarian things by way of impact? How do we are we silencing with, hey, I'm really going to need you to be respectful before you can say something to me like that. Like that's, I think that's silencing. I think it is. And then the other permissive is like, you just kind of ignore it. Like, oh, it's a phase. Oh, they'll get over it. I'm trying to think of some other beliefs that I've encountered that lead to this. Because this is about beliefs. Authoritarian parenting is about beliefs. So is permissive parenting. Here, so the middle ground here is, if you guys have heard the expression, I've talked about it a million times. So there's connection connection before correction. Okay. So say your kid is angry. Their kid, something happened to them. Like maybe they wanted a toy that their siblings using or something. That's valid anger, right? That's valid. Anger shows us boundaries. Anger shows us what we want. Anger shows us the need for assertiveness. Now, kids are naturally aggressive, like they're naturally assertive, but they can do this in aggressive ways. Cause what does a 1.5-year-old know how to do other than like hit? Like what else? They can't speak. Kids are bottom up. They're emotion first, right? So when we see behavior that indicates anger, overwhelm, frustration, any of that like energizing emotion, we do not want to suppress it and we do not want to ignore it. What we want to do is pause and connect with it first. That's what we want to do. Okay. I've said this a million times. The only like addressing of the negative behavior you have to do is like, whoa. I see you hit your sister. Hold on a second. Let's pause. That's all you have to do. That's all you have to do. Okay. Because then what you're doing is you're understanding, you're validating, you're connecting with it. And here's where parents like go wrong, and here's what prevents parents from doing this, is their own fear, their own judgment. Like, oh, hitting is so bad. Not, this, like, this stuff is so bad. And it's like, it's actually developmentally fine. It's actually fine. Your fear about the behavior is creating judgment, okay? Which then is going to lead to one of these, and then lead to ultimately your kid feeling rejected about their anger. Oh, I'm bad because I have anger. Oh, I'm bad because I hit. Okay? So we want to say, okay, yeah, your sister stole your thing. Yeah. Makes sense. I would be mad too. I would be mad too. The thing is though, you can't hit your sister. Here's some other things that you can do. And I'm going to help you do that. And here are some skills you need to learn. And I'm going to teach you. I'm going to do this myself too. Sometimes I feel angry. And so that's what you're doing too, is like you checking yourself, like, oh, what do I do when I'm angry? And if you're not angry, like, wake up. Wake the fuck up if you're not angry, honestly. Honestly. Where is your anger? Especially as women. Wake up. Okay. So you have to actually model this. Like, you're getting home, the drive-through worker or whatever missed your order. Are you just like sad about it? You know what I mean? Like, where is your anger in your life? Kids are mirrors in this way. How do we handle a kid that has angry behavior? Well, how do we deal with our own? That's the first question. Before you even act, before you do something, or like, here on this live, when you're asking me, think about it. What do you do with your own anger? That's what I want to know. And that's what I'm asking you now, is like, what do you do with your anger? Here we go. The tricky part is when they're teenagers and their mouth gets away on them. You guys, that's not a big deal. That's not a big deal. You need to have stopped that behavior. Like, whoa, like, tell me what's going on. Well, hold on. Or you need to just engage with it. Like, why are we so scared of it? Why are we so scared of anger? Because we're scared of our own. Our kids are mirrors. Okay? Yes, shame and guilt myself for not being kind. Right. And so if you feel shame and guilt yourself for not being kind, that is going to affect the way that you treat your kids. That shows your work to do. Okay, I've got some work to do around my anger. I need to figure out self-compassion. I need to figure out acceptance. Like, I need to, like, that's your own work to do. And so that's where we need to do the work. Because then you can parent from an authentic place. Then you can really connect with their anger and understand it. And then you can correct the behavior. It's like, you guys would not believe. And it's like, I think when people do this, they're like, there's no way that works. Because it's so easy and kind and loving and makes total sense. Like, it goes against everything we're taught about how kids need punishment and shame and all this shit. Like, and that's just not true. It's just absolutely not true. This process does take patience. I mean, you guys, how long have you been online learning this stuff and things are still not clicking, It takes time for people to learn things. It takes time. So here's the connection. Your kid, your son, maybe your older son hits his youngest sister. Okay, here we go. We go into the woods and hit trees with sticks and scream. Okay, that's fine. That's good to get it out. We need to also make sure we're learning from the anger and learning what we need. Okay, because here's the thing. With your son who just hit his younger sister because she stole his toy or whatever, he has a valid boundary. His anger is valid. Now, the difference between these two is that authoritarian and permissive. No, the kid is not learning anything. The kid is not learning any skills. And that's what they need in this moment. They're feeling something. Their behavior is how do I get this need met? Okay, I'm angry. She stole it. Now I want it back. Like, or do I want her to have it? Or like, what is it telling me, you know? And I mean, this obviously depends on your kid's development, okay? Please do not be doing this with your 3-year-old. You know, under 5, I think, what is it, under 4, you're just like redirecting. It's not therapy sessions. Like, we're not doing that with kids that have no frontal lobe, okay? Prefrontal cortex. We're not doing that with them. But the idea is that you're connecting with it. When you as the parent cannot judge their anger or their behavior, and you can sit with them and you can really be like, dang, yeah, like, I love your anger. That's such a beautiful part of you. And that's honestly a huge deal that you are connected to it. I'm so proud of you. Now we need to figure out if you want, you know, if you're trying to hurt her or what else you can be doing. If your sister steals something from you, like you need to let me know. Like, let me know. I will be right here to help you figure it out. Because I see you, this is valid, and I'm going to teach you the skills that you need to learn. You know? So that's what we need to be doing, is we need to connect. And then the correction is just teaching them the skill, what they need to do next time. And by the way, 3-year-olds, 4-year-olds, 5-year-olds, like the 2-year-olds, it's a hard time because they are so, they're so body aware and they're so impulsive that they cannot, it takes time to learn this stuff. Now, if someone else is getting hurt because of their anger and their behavior, that's when you need to make sure that they're not hurting anybody. Like you can't just like have this conversation with the older son and then leave him be with his younger sister. That can't happen. That cannot happen, because then he could hurt her. And then the effect on her is like, oh, mom's not protecting me. Like, you're not taking their developmental age into account. Like, you know, like that cannot happen. So we need to assess according to development. And I understand a lot of people don't know this, but, understanding that your child does not have like 1/10 of the brain capacity you have might really help you to just really simplify it. So here we go. What else? Shame and guilt. Yeah, shame and guilt. And that's what's happening with Beth. Okay, I bet you $1 million. And I didn't get there with her. I wish all these callers, like I want to, you know, obviously the therapist in me is like, I want to go deeper. I want to get to this because that's how the work happens. Like, it's not in one epiphany. It's in time. And like, therapy is very much a bottom-up process. You're kind of guiding people to their own solutions with time. You're not like I'm not like this and with my clients. You know what I mean? How do we teach kids boundaries around anger? So the boundaries, that's a great question. The boundaries aspect is, I want to reframe that word, is like the needs and the skills. When they're angry, one, what do they need? And what are the skills that they need? At school, they need to learn, you know, that they need to ask for help, probably, right? Like, that's the need. And that's the skill, to ask for help. When you're angry and you're at school and some other kid has wronged you, your anger is valid enough to where you can get help and intervention. And if that doesn't work, if your teacher isn't helpful, tell me and we will figure it out. We'll figure out some other solutions. Like, I am here to help you figure out your needs and your skills. Because I want you to be effective in your life. I want you to protect yourself. I also want you to have relationships. And when other people's feelings are involved and when their bodies are involved, you know, like we have to think through this together sometimes. It's not so easy sometimes. And so I want to help you learn options. So needs and skills. Needs and skills. That's it. I mean, you guys, that's the point of parenting, by the way. That's the point of parenting. You know, this like focus on emotions and stuff, I love, obviously. Like, they need to understand their emotions, but the point of that, it doesn't stop there. The point of emotions is to figure out what we need. And then We want to get that need met. That's the inherent value of a need, is that it's, we have a need, we need to get it met. And so what are the skills we need to get there? Because what happens when we're not teaching skills with authoritarian parenting, with permissive parenting, is they're not learning shit. They're not learning shit. And that's when entitlement happens. That's when, from suppressed anger and shame, that's when that's when it comes out later in all of these in their wants, when their needs are not getting met, they will get what they want. And that's an amazing quality as well. Manipulation, right? We like to say kids are, so many creators, kids are manipulative. And I'm so against that, even with the worst of the worst behavior. Because once again, that's the fault of the caregivers. You're not getting them what they need. And so they're going to get what they want. And when you start looking at parenting in this way, needs and skills, and that the emotions are the bridge to get them there, they will be learning, they will become the adults you want them to be. But back to the root, are you the person they want to be? And I think this is the hardest thing. And by the way, people are not accurate on evaluating themselves. People are on both ends of the spectrum. Right? They're very shame-based. So they're like, oh, no, I'm not doing a good job, blah, blah, blah. And the other people are like, no, I'm actually, I'm living in my values, blah, blah, blah. And so, yeah. So just keep learning is the lesson. The need is just for you as a parent is just to keep learning. It's so hard to know what the right route forward is because it seems like he just needs to express his anguish. That's fine. Yeah. Express it in a way that doesn't hurt someone. And then what is the real need there? And what is the skill that he needs to learn when this happens inevitably around other people that maybe aren't safe? Also probably need more context to this in particular, but let's see. What other questions do we have? My parenting mantra is non-punitive, non-shaming, non-coercive, plus playfulness. Love it. I saw a TikTok or a video this morning, I think it was, that was and I've posted about this before. Actual healing is joy. That's what it is. Joy, playfulness, silliness. And when you come from that place with your kids, you can teach needs and skills because you're connected and they're open to it. They don't feel judged by you. I think that's the number one thing is our judgment around their behaviors that are not okay or that we want to fix. I think that's reflective of our own values, and that's great. I want parents to be parenting out of their own values. We also need to, are you willing to examine those values and be more flexible on them so that you can get to a place of connection? And then 2 is that your value? And do you want to help them with their values? That's the point of parenting is they're not just copying you because, you need to help them learn their own values. Oh, what did you want in that situation? Okay. How could we have gotten that? I want to help you. I mean, did that feel good to hit? Tell me about it. Because sometimes it doesn't, sometimes hitting, it just doesn't feel better. So that's why it's always connection. Connection equals compassion and curiosity. I mean, that's it. The best compliment I've ever gotten in my life, by the way, I went to this training. It was on psychodrama. I would really encourage people to look at that. Psychodrama is amazing. And I am not very artistic, or I didn't qualify myself as that when I did it. And I was so proud of what I made because I got this little house and I put all this fiery dragon and stuff. I was like, man, I'm in a good spot to be a therapist if I don't judge people. And I really feel like that's true. I love when people do crazy stuff and they tell me about it. I think that's the attitude you kind of have to have. Like, oopsie, like, you know what I mean? Like, dang, that's crazy that you did that. That's crazy. Tell me more. You know, don't you want that friend? Don't you want that friend to be like, girl, what the hell are you doing? But like, let's talk about it. And you're not like you're their hype person, but you're also teaching them needs and skills. Needs and skills. Here we go. I read something recently about the difference between concepts and skills with kids and how they can have the concept but no skills. This sounds more like concept. How do we build the skills? Well, concepts is like you're explaining something to them. The skill is just the behavior. The skill is like, here's literally what to do instead. I hear that all the time from people is like, I need a script of what to say. That's the skill. That's the skill, is the behavior and the script. Instead of just like, hey, here's the concept, you know, when you have a need, when you're angry, ask for help, you know, like that's a concept, ask for help. But the skill is like, go to your teacher and say, hey, this person hit me. I need your help figuring out what to do, you know, or what words feel right. That's the skill. It's the behavior and it's the script. ADHD and struggles with, my son has ASD and ADHD and struggles with aggression, especially at school or in other more structured environments. He's developing a lot of shame. And I'm not sure what I can do. Well, number one, we're connecting, right? So like, I don't know, you know, this is super to me. We're connecting with it. We need to fight the shame first. Where's the shame coming from? Can you be curious about it? Oh, like, what do you mean? You feel shame? Is that because you don't mean to, or you just feel like it's impulsive? Well, let me tell you, ADHD and ASD, or I wonder if you mean ASD, autism spectrum disorder, if you mean antisocial. Wait, that's APD. The deal with kids that are neurodivergent, the number one thing is emotions, you guys, is helping them build that interoception, that inner sense of what they're feeling. And that way you're not like, you know, because people have outbursts when they're masking and then they can't take it anymore and they get so overwhelmed. So please don't let the diagnosis yourself, like itself, hold you back from kind of common sense things. And this may not be common sense, but like, I'm just saying, my content, by the way, is literally specifically for neurodivergent people. I just don't talk about it because I don't want to be exclusive about it. And plus, I've gotten really annoying feedback from that community, you know, so when I talk specifically about it. And so I just don't. But like literally all of my content is for neurodivergent people. Why do you think I focus so much on emotions? Like, this is key for neurotypical and neurodivergent, but especially neurodivergent, is your home has to be emotion palooza. Emotion palooza. Everything is emotions. Like, oh my gosh, I love this cheesecake. It's making me so happy. You know, like I love being outside. You know, like I hate barbecue chips. Like you're building language around emotional experiences. And I'll tell you 100% of the time, this is not happening. This is not happening. People only do it in reaction to a bad behavior. There's no like preventative thinking about it. There's no proactivity about it. Emotions are the deal. Emotions are the deal with neurodivergent kids. And so it's you yourself have to model this when you get home from work, when you're talking to your partner or your spouse, like, oh, today was really hard. I wanted to yell, but I didn't. I'm so proud of myself that I didn't. When you're laying in bed at night, are you talking about that stuff? Like, probably not. And that's what you have to do. That's what you have to do is emotion palooza at home. You have to do that. For you yourself, if you're neurodivergent, I mean, hello, you know how much neurodivergence co-occurs with trauma and PTSD and CPTSD? I mean, it's like literally to me 100, and emotional neglect 100% of the time. And so healing your own trauma. Your kid is like providing you an opportunity to heal your own trauma by doing this too. Like you have to look at your emotions every single day too. Every single day, morning, noon, and night. You have to check in because more than likely you are masking too. More than likely this behavior is coming out in you too. Eating disorders, substance use, like what are your little habits, you know? So we're building awareness. We're becoming students of our environment. We're becoming students and observers of what comes up in us when we see this behavior. And a lot of times this is the question, you know, the question I get is like, you know, how do I deal with my kids' emotions? Well, how do you deal with your emotions? I don't. Right. That's the problem. That's the problem. And that's where parenting is a two-sided thing. It's like, yeah, it's valid to want to know how to deal with this with your kid according to their development. And you need specifics on that. But you need to get this connection and like compassion and curiosity, like depth that I'm talking about. You need to do this in yourself. This isn't just surface level behaviors that you need to be doing with them, you know? I was talking to someone the other day, and I think a big issue in is estrangement. I think if you're an estranged parent listening, is we're looking for scripts, we're looking for behaviors, we're looking for the right and wrong thing to do. And what we actually need to develop is depth, like emotional depth, understanding our own emotional depth. Because then when you inevitably reconcile, because that's what I'm going to help you to do, when inevitably you reconcile and then another issue comes up, you have the depth to repair. And you can it's not behaviors. It's not like, hey, say you're sorry, right? Like we're talking about real repair. We're talking about real relationships and connections, you know? So that's why doing your own work is so important to parenting, because you can come from an authentic place. Here's a question. I struggle to know the difference between appropriate and inappropriate sharing with the kids. When is my sharing my emotional experiences okay, and when is it not appropriate? That's a great question. And I ask myself this too as a therapist. I think you almost have to think of it this way as a parent. Am I sharing you? It's not just like they ask you a question and you're venting, or you're just like sharing your unfiltered emotional experience. You're always thinking about how it's going to land on them and what they need when they're asking you. So how I think about it, and this is with clients, like there are therapists online that piss me off, that talk about how they're in this deep, dark depression and seeing clients anyway. And I am like, you need to be sharing things that you have overcome. You know, like this guy is getting on my nerves at work, and he is like, he's just crossing my boundaries, but I'm going to figure it out. You know, like that's something to share. It's not just like this unfiltered space with your kid. So one, you need to keep in mind, what is this helping them with? And two, you need to make sure you're getting your emotional needs met by other people. So this isn't the first time someone's like, you know, you're where it's safe for you to share some emotional experiences. It's not appropriate to share things when you're like in the middle of something. This is my opinion. Without saying like, I'm figuring this out, like I'm just processing, this is really healthy. You know, that metacognition I talked about at the beginning of this call, like how we're like becoming observers, like you have to do that too. Like, cause when you're struggling emotionally, there's also another part of you that's observing you struggling, and that's supposed to be there to empower you. That's our own inner parent. So it's like, you can have a bad day and just be like, you know what? I had a bad day. What do I need? Okay. What do I need? I need 10 minutes, and then I want to come down and connect with you guys. That's what I need, you know, because it's emotion, need, like, you know, so in that you're modeling it. You're also doing this with your partner when they're struggling. It's healthy to see you. It's healthy for your kids to see you struggle. It's not healthy for them to see you struggle and be helpless about it. That's not normal. And that's going to really hurt them, because that's teaching them that emotions too mean helplessness and powerlessness. And it doesn't. You need to have an attitude as a parent, like, I'm figuring this out. This is hard. Okay, but I'm figuring it out. So it's always appropriate to have emotions around them, as long as you are working through them and you're being healthy and you're leading the way and you're considering the impact on them too. What I will say 100,000,000% of the time is it's not okay to share your emotions about their behavior. I'm disappointed in you for doing this. Not okay. Not okay. It's not okay. I mean, even Brat Buster's parenting, like, she's to me the GOAT in a lot of ways. Not emotionally. She's not a therapist. You know, she doesn't speak to emotional intelligence. She speaks to behavioral intelligence. But she talks about you never want to show, what does she say? Anger, fear, frustration to your kid. Like, no, they're going to feel badly about themselves. So you sharing your emotions about your kid's behavior, not only one makes them feel bad about themselves, but it teaches them self-abandonment, that now they're concerned about how you're doing and making sure you're okay. So no go there. That's when it's 100,000,000% of the time not appropriate. And I think, again, you're sharing things that you've overcome. You're empowering them. You're using your experience as a model to teach them needs and skills. Like, this is what I said to him. And this is the skill I'm working on, is standing up for myself, but not being aggressive. You know, that's hard for me. Or not being permissive. That's hard for me. But here's what I did that was like really good, you know? So you're not sharing your independent emotional experience with no leadership or awareness of how it's going to impact them. But it can be a very amazing, healthy tool when you do this right. Because this is like, the estranged parents are like, why can't my kids just see that I'm human? And it's like, because there's a difference between being human and being like on their level, you know? So yeah, that's my little rants about that. Let me see here. Any other questions? This whole thing has been so good. Good. You seem to speak okay, this is good. Okay. You seem to speak in a way that is direct and non-people pleasing, not really blunt, not softened either. Have you always been this way, or did you learn it? People pleasing all the time is tiring. Never people please. It's definitely been a journey for me. I will say I've always been this way at my core, and I've dreamt about a space where I could be this way, and I created it. But I think there's still a part of me that feels, there's still that, I don't know, inner referee or inner person that's like, check yourself. But so yes and no, I've always been this way. I think and this is my experience with everybody that I've even worked with, is they've always been this way too. You know, they've always been this way. Kids they're born this, they know boundaries, they know assertiveness, they know how to use their voice. It's just, it's been shamed out of them. And so when I've worked with people also in this space, it's kind of been, we're kind of like peeling back onion layers to reveal their natural, authentic core self. And I think that's what I've done too. So it's yes and no. Like, I remember, I think what changed the game for me, when I got in an argument with my sister, I don't know, 15 years, I don't know how long ago, but I was like, I think it would be the worst thing ever if somebody met me and they left and they described me as nice. Like, that would be the worst case scenario. And we kind of got in an argument. She was like, why is that bad? Blah, blah, blah. And to this day, I feel like that was like, I've like just really stood on that, because I think that would be the worst thing. I want to be real. I want to be authentic. I want to be, you know, when you're a people pleaser, you have like a different set of values. And so part of it can be realigning your values of like, do I really think that I need to be nice all the time? No. Do I really need to be XYZ all the time? No. A lot of this comes from like anger work, where it's like, wait a minute. No. So when people learn to say no, I think naturally, you know, all these things kind of click. All right. I noticed the same regarding direct dialogue versus people pleasing. You're a good model. Good. I want to, this is like a very, I'm so glad you guys are taking that, because I really care about that. I think I've had to learn boundaries and like what is okay to say in this tone. Like, if I'm coming at somebody and I'm talking about their appearance, or like, their trauma in this way, that to me is cruelty and crossing boundaries. That's being aggressive. So I feel like because I know my boundaries with what's okay to talk about, which is behavior, I think all behavior is inbounds. So I think that's the other skill part of this too, is like what is actually okay to speak about with this energy. So reformed people pleasing. Now people are mad at me and say I have changed. Good. That's great news. Just joining. I learned that people pleasing can become manipulative and became, yeah. I think people pleasing honestly is, well, the core of it is suppressed anger, and people pleasing leads to entitlement. People pleasing leads to really all terrible things. So as much as we have compassion for how it was created, we need to change it. So, all right, I need to tap out today. When are they no longer kids? Is communication of a current family trauma abuse okay once they're in their 20s? If they're actively being involved in it? Wait, when are they no longer kids? I don't know. I think that's too big of a question for my brain right now because I'm winding down. Can you explain why you wouldn't, in a relational impact way, tell your kid that they disappointed you? Because you're the parent, and that, number one, you're the parent, and that puts you on the same level as them emotionally. Because normally in relationships, when someone disappoints us, we can have boundaries around that. It's sometimes appropriate to take distance. Like the way we would respond to that in a normal relationship is not the same as you would in a relationship with your child, number one. And so it's confusing to them. And number two, the impact it has on the kid is that it's self-abandoning and it makes them feel badly about themselves. So they're going to suddenly be worried about making sure you're okay as opposed to what they needed developmentally. Number three, their behavior is not personal to you ever. It may be directed towards you, but it's a result of their own needs and skills and what needs to be learned. And so you're just wasting time, energy, and honestly, I would bet that you are meeting one of your own needs by needing to do that. So that's what I think about why. I mean, I could literally keep going as to why it's so harmful. Isn't there a level of healthy shame like around lying? I mean, do they feel but do they feel it, or are you shaming them? You know, like I don't think shaming them's okay. Like, again, we're connecting before you correct. Like, what was the environment that they had to lie? Number one, what was that environment? Were you like interrogating them with questions? You know, like, why are they so scared to get in trouble around you? That's my question. So yeah, there's healthy shame, but like when they're yourself, but shame again comes from a place of like, I'm not getting what I need. And I feel shitty about that. And so this is the behavior I have to do, you know? That's the core of it. I promise you. I've sat with these people. This is the core of it. I promise you. And I've helped people change this. This is the core of it. I promise you. Is unmet needs. That's the core of it. You judging their behavior like lying. Oh my gosh. Whoa, the horrors. The kid lying. Like, it's really not that serious. And the more seriously you treat it, like serious as in like, yeah, we need to get it fixed. Like, for sure. But the strategy that you do that, if you use your own emotions to do that, I mean, it's going to be effective in the short term. It's not going to be in the long term. You're not teaching them shit. You're not teaching them anything. The best way if you want to teach that relational understanding of the impact, if they lie to a friend, if they lie to their sibling, like that's a totally different scenario. But stop using your own emotions. That's not okay. It's not okay. So there's that. All right, you guys, you're getting it. I love this engagement. You guys are getting it. We are all learning. We're all picking stuff up. Like, you're really getting this. I'm so proud of you and all the work and time and energy you're putting into this parenting,
your marriage, your partnership, your relationship, your estrangement with your parents, healing there. You guys are doing great. I will be back tomorrow at 10:30 Central. Today we kind of covered a lot of ground. We covered what happened with Beth last week. We talked about parenting a lot, connection over correction, parenting styles, emotions. And I will repeat this till my dying breath, because this is what I'm supposed to be doing, which is helping you guys heal your own stuff and your relationships, and especially making sure that this trauma isn't passed down to your kids. So thanks for listening, everybody. Like and subscribe, all that stuff. And I will see you tomorrow at 10:30 a.m. Bye.